Do you want to sit here and listen to the interview? We're talking about playing with you. Do you want us to just here and watch?
That's Anna Cordova. She's talking with her son, Nolan, who does not want her to be talking with someone else right now. He munches on a snack, grumpily, while we talk. Nolan is almost 4. He was born in April 2020, right after the pandemic began. Cordova says it was an isolating way to grow up. All of their family is back in Chicago, so they weren't really seeing anybody else. Nolan is in preschool now. Next year, he'll be moving to transitional kindergarten. And the move hasn't been easy. Especially recess.
The teachers tell us, like, it takes them some time to warm up. Sometimes he's kind of like on the outskirts observing, which makes...
And I cried.
Yes, you cried too.
But Cordova is hopeful. It's been getting easier for Nolan to spend more time with other kids. And recess, she says, is going to be a really important part of that. Researchers who study childhood largely agree. Recess is really important. For a lot of kids, it's their main time to play freely and without structure. Rebecca London is a professor of sociology at UC Santa Cruz.
Forming connections with peers and adults is healing for children. And that's exactly what happens during recess, right? It's not just about the play. It's about the interaction that happens through the play.
Those interactions through play are crucial. They help kids develop social skills and creativity and reduce the risk of anxiety and depression. But for decades, recess has also been under threat. London says that dates back to around the late 90s and early 2000s, when the federal government made a big push to sharpen public schools' focus on academic performance, with the No Child Left Behind Act.
So in return for federal dollars, we're asking states to design accountability systems.
Educators were suddenly under huge pressure. They responded by ramping up the focus on academics, sending students home with more work, and extending the school year. Recess also became an easy target.
So recess, which had been sort of a staple in the day, became cut shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, and in some places disappeared altogether.
At least a fifth of U.S. school districts cut back on recess time, by as much as an hour every week, according to some estimates. Researchers tracked those changes in poorer schools in California, and also saw educators take away more recess from Black and Latino students than they did from white students. That could have continued, but then came the pandemic.
Kids not only didn't get the same level of education or mentorship or instruction, but they were really isolated.
Josh Newman is a California state senator and the parent of a second grader, and he saw how those changes affected kids firsthand.
It shed light on the impact on students of the isolation that came from closing schools and this kind of overhang of a whole bunch of mental health and kind of other issues that we're going to have to work our way through.
For Newman, that was the turning point. Last year, he spearheaded the passage of a new law, SB 291. It requires all public schools to give elementary school students 30 minutes of recess every day, separate from lunch and PE. And it makes it illegal for teachers to take that time away as punishment. Here in San Diego, schools are still figuring out what those changes will mean for the next school year. KPBS reached out to 4 local districts, but none of them would give interviews on how they plan to make sure that schools are following the law. Still, London says this is huge for California.
The pandemic, I think, is leading people to realize how important this social connection is. And, since the pandemic started, we've seen, maybe 4, 5, 6 new states pass legislation.
One day you're going to do that, buddy.
Ana Cordova is optimistic. She agrees that the law is a good thing.
Like, they're just kids, so they have all their lives to not have recess.
The new recess law is set to take effect in the fall. Kori Suzuki, KPBS News.